Hi, this is Prasant Radhakrishnan. Welcome to this video, long awaited, about producing gamakas on the saxophone in the tradition of Carnatic classical music, or South Indian classical music. I've gotten many requests to create this video, so we'll just get started and jump right in. Most of you may already know, but the gamakas are essentially connections and unique ornamentations of notes. Instead of just playing a plain note, you can actually combine and connect the notes in unique ways. And Carnatic music has an entire language of how to do these things. Incidentally, a lot of them are a little bit difficult to do on an instrument that has keys like the saxophone. So in order to do most of the gamakams, you need to do a little bit of extra practice. And to do the more difficult gamakams, you have to go a little bit beyond the use of what the normal type of technique you would use on the saxophone. So the first one that most people ask about is blending, but I'm going to get to that a little bit later. I would say for about 80 to 90% of the gamakas that you can use on saxophone, which I'm thankful to have learned from my guru, Padma Shri Dr. Kadri Gopalnath, you really need to learn more about the timing and understand the raga that you're learning. But the first gamaka you might want to learn is this is something that can be used in other styles of music, but which is just to encircle the note with a note above it. So if you take a simple raga like Hamsadhwani, which has 7 notes up and down, now the basic gamaka for this would just be to jump from the first to the third and come down to the second. Sagadi. So this kind of turn, this scoop right here, is the first simple gamaka that you'll encounter a lot of. And as you get comfortable with it, you can incorporate it into your improvisations. So as you can see, I use some other gamakas there, but primarily the sagriga pasnisa, right? So skipping over the note, using the note above it, and landing on the second note. You can also come down from a note above it. Giri giri, that's your third and second. You can put them together and sometimes you'll get a double oscillation where the first is a little slower and the second one's a little faster. So what I'm doing there is just relaxing my embouchure and allowing the notes to be a little bit more fluid than in Western music might connect the notes. Rather than having the notes be very separated out, I'm actually allowing them to blend and flow together. For this, you don't have to do a perfect, complete blend, but what you want to go for is the timing and the fluidity of the notes. The big question that everyone's thinking about is, of course, the blending, because that's the thing that most people have a difficulty with. Now, I will say in Carnatic music, particularly in our sruthi, the pitch that I'm using is concert B flat or G for our sa. A lot of the stuff that we're doing will be based off of that. So that gives you a limitation, both a benefit and a limitation for what you can and can't do in certain areas of the horn. Now, if you want to start blending notes, so again, like I said, first you'll want to learn and understand the music itself. So if you're learning Carnatic music and you're having difficulty with the gamakams, we'll get to that later. But first, you want to have an understanding of like what the gamakams you are actually playing. Then you can understand the timing and you can understand the approach to playing them a lot easier. Now the more advanced gamakams are the blending, or what they call the kampitam gamakas. So these are oscillating gamakams that start from one note, go to another note, and come back to that note continuously. And the first one I'd recommend people practicing, there's two that I would recommend practicing to start off, which are the ones that are the most accessible. And that's going from your re to your ma, or ga to your ma. So on Western notes, that's A natural to C, A natural to C, and B flat to C. The B flat to the C blend on the saxophone is, in my opinion, the easiest one to do. So if you're first getting started with blending and gamaka notes, that's the one that you want to try first. So we'll start on the side B flat, and there's two motions to the kampitam gamaka. There's the up motion and there's the down motion. So first you want to just get comfortable with blending each direction. So it'd start out with your side B flat, and you're just going to gradually let go up to the C. So it's much easier to do the blend up because you're just letting go of fingers. Okay, so that's not very difficult to do. This is it from the Ri. So you might be wondering what I'm doing there. I'm actually just allowing my embouchure to relax as much as possible. And I'm allowing the tongue to actually play a little bit of a role. So my tongue, as I'm playing, it's actually moving slightly back when I'm going up. That kind of regulates the air pressure. So if this is your tongue, it's kind of slightly moving back as you allow the air to open up and open into the C, the ma. And when you're coming back down, you want to do the opposite. You actually want to increase the pressure forward. So your tongue will actually come forward and create more air pressure to suppress the key closing that'll cut the sound. So when you close a key, it's going to cut the sound. So to stop that cut from happening, you're going to bring more air support and let your embouchure continue to be relaxed. Okay, so you can see it gets pretty smooth, and a lot of this has to do with your instrument being in good working condition, your reeds not being overly hard, though with good practice, it's just like physical fitness. If you have a very, very strong embouchure and you're used to very hard reeds, you can probably still do all this blending, but I find it's much more easy to do the blends on a slightly softer reed. So obviously the softer that you go, the tone is going to change, and you'll get a brighter or a more punchy kind of higher sound, pitch sound. So I prefer to not go too soft. You have to experiment, but a little bit softer than what you might play in a jazz setting, or definitely in a Western classical setting. You'll have to go to a slightly softer reed to allow these kind of blends to come more naturally and easily without having to really fight the instrument. The reed I have on now is like a little bit harder than I would like it, so you can kind of imagine it'll be even easier on a softer reed. Now let's put the two together. This is not going to sound like naturally what I would play in a performance, of course. So that's just a very slow kind of way of doing it. Now, and when you're actually playing, now how do you hold the sound so that you get the up? Because when you're playing it, you'll feel like you're putting so much attention and effort into making it blend up, and then when you make it blend down, it feels totally different coming down, right? So how do you hold both of those? And that's just to really relax the embouchure in the throat and give the air support, so both of those, it's like a wave coming within a larger airstream. Now, the thing is, in Carnatic music, as opposed to other styles of music which use blending notes, the gamakas are a little faster, and there are not as many of like slow blending and things like that. It's there, but it's not necessary to do constant blending from notes to notes. I have people sometimes asking me like, "Oh, you don't seem to be blending that many notes." There's a lot of blending that happens, but it's only where necessary. It's not a constant showcase of blending notes and gamakas on the saxophone. In fact, the shuddha or the pure notes are just as important as the gamaka notes. So as you learn gamakas, don't get carried away with doing too many of them. I've had a couple of my mentors and gurus, teachers talk to me about that. Sometimes at one point I was playing too much gamaka, and where the raga actually wasn't being shown properly. So they helped me understand that. The other analogy I was given by one of my teachers was that, you know, the gamakas are kind of like adornments on a person. So if a person is dressing up, let's say they're dressing up for an event or a party, they might wear a nice dress or some jewelry. But if you put too much, then it becomes ridiculous, right? You have to put the right amount. So that it's the same with the gamakas. You put a tasteful, correct amount based on the composition, based on the raga, and then it's just right. So again, I'd recommend for practice, start off by practicing the up blend from re to ma, that's your A to your C, and then the down blend from ma to re, that's your C to your A. You could also do B flat to C, which is ga 2 to ma 1, or ma to ga 2. That both of those are used quite a lot. Now you might have heard me playing some other blends that you might not have heard a lot of people play, which is playing from the lower octave and then blending through what we call sometimes in saxophone the break between ma and pa, which is your C and your D. As you notice, between C and D, there's a break there. If you play, so that last thing that I played was the blend. Now, normally if you just play C to D, it would not really work very well. It would cut off immediately. So that blend, I just wanted to show, not that you have to do this blend, but that it is possible to blend through the pa with practice. And that's more just once you master the rima rimare blending, then you'll be able to get most of the other blends. And then you can actually blend just the way you did rimare, but just do a slow, gradual increase. I'm just doing gradual fingers, and then the rest with embouchure support. Okay, now as you get more comfortable, you can even go past the pa, and you can go up to the sa. Okay, so this is not something you need to use very often. It's just an extra effect. So again, it's not something that you would have to use, but really I'm sharing it just to show that it is possible, and to show the scope of the instrument, that there is really so much that you can do. I've really only just scratched the surface. And you know, my guru Kadri Gopalnath really was extremely talented, and not only just talented, just the work he put in. He was able to bring out so much possibility with the gamakas. And I think more than what he displayed, he could do more than that. So we were all still just, you know, working things out. But mainly wanted to just share this to give you a good start. Sorry, the volume went low there. Just to give you a little start on gamakams. It's really an endless topic, but and it requires, you know, if I go into too much more detail, it requires a lot of background knowledge on your part. So I just wanted to give a little introduction here to gamakas to see if it's useful for you. I can definitely bring out more videos with more specifics, but you know, this is just something you can get started with. Start off by doing the encircling gamakams, for example. Or you can do it. also do double oscillations with just going downwards with simple ones. So there's a lot of possibilities with that. And then you can get into the blending, which is blending up and then blending down, and then eventually getting them to go together, blending up and down together. Ga, ga, and then ga, the rima, 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 which is your AC, AC, AC on the alto saxophone. So give these a try, and let me know if you have questions. You know, this current upcoming generation in the future is the one that can really take the instrument to the heights and explore more of what's possible. I continue to explore on my end here, but this is a long-term, multi-generational kind of endeavor, and there's endless possibilities to it. We're just still getting the first couple generations here. So thank you for watching. You can find more about me on my website, prasantmusic.com. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. I share a lot of music on saxophone, but also a lot about self-realization through music, realizing your own nature to be free of the confusion of our minds, realizing the self, which is considered the pursuit of anyone's life, to be permanently free of confusion about who we are, and sharing that through the path of music, which is, in my opinion, one of the easiest and most natural that exists. So feel free to come back to this channel, subscribe, and share with your loved ones. Again, thank you so much for watching.